Hello and thanks for joining me on today's video. You want to build muscle, I know how. Let's get started. So here's what you probably know. Muscle looks awesome, makes us feel good, keeps us strong, and helps our day-to-day lives become easier and easier. But a couple things that I want to sell you on benefit-wise before we get started with my 5 most critical tips for building muscle. One on metabolic rate and another benefit on toning.
And shapes your shoulders at this.
So on metabolic rate, it's just a fancy word, this metabolic rate, that means how many calories a day we're burning or what our rate of caloric burn is in a 24-hour period. There's a lot of things that go into that, but essentially what you need to know is this: the more muscle you have, the more calories your body will be burning at rest. Unlike cardio, where you burn a certain amount of calories while you're doing your run or doing your bike, and then you're basically done once the activity is over, with muscle building through resistance training, you are burning calories while you're in the gym in that session, and you're also burning calories long term because eventually you will have more muscle on your frame. So building muscle is like a long-term investment in your ability to burn calories in the long run. And secondly, on toning, I think it is a bullshit term that is used to describe this physical appearance of looking shredded, looking lean. You definitely don't need to have a subscription to Cosmo magazine to look more toned. You just need to have a little bit of muscle, and then you need to have a low level of body fat on top of that muscle underneath the skin so that the muscle actually does pop out. So now that you are super sold on the idea of building some muscle, let's hop right into my 5 most critical tips for you actually making gains. Numero uno, consistent training. To achieve what you don't have, you have to do the things that you're not doing. If you're not training, you have to start training. If you're training 3 times a week and you're still unhappy with your progress, try training 4 times a week. Muscle takes time. If you're not allowing at least 1 month of proper, consistent, hard training before deciding whether or not you need to switch programs or try something different, you're missing out on the point. This is a game of delayed gratification. What you put in today is not obviously going to show up for you as a result today or tomorrow. It's going to take time. The idea is that you need to stay consistent, and in a month's time, you should start to notice some small but positive changes towards your goal of building some lean muscle. If you only have 3 times a week at 30 minutes per training session, then that's where you start. That's completely fine. Now, I'm not gonna lie, especially as you go from beginner to intermediate exerciser or gain maker, if you could start training 4 or 5 times a week, that's obviously gonna be better than 3 times a week because you're giving your muscle more opportunity to become damaged so it can grow. But again, know where you're at, know what you're willing to commit to long term, and start there. Number 2, make sure you're using proper form. The exercises that you need to engage in to build the muscle that you're looking for require really good quality form. So when we work out, we're not building any muscle. We're actually doing the opposite. We're breaking down muscle. We're going to the gym to give our muscles a hard time. Hard times create strong muscles. We want to make sure that the muscles that we're actually trying to grow are getting properly worked, and that really only happens when we use proper form, because the force of the weight being used gets pushed into that muscle appropriately so that it can get challenged. The second reason why you want to use proper form is because it keeps you healthy and safe and helps you avoid injury. The reality is that a lot of people get hurt in the gym, and when you're working out, as long as you can stay healthy and pain-free, you'll be able to consistently stick to a workout schedule. If you're not very confident with your form, I highly recommend making the investment into a personal trainer, somebody professional who can help you in person understand proper form and what things feel like. 3, befriend the suck. What does this mean? Now that you understand that good form is a high priority, we really want to make sure that we're challenging the muscles that we're trying to change. If we don't challenge the muscle by giving it a novel stimulus or a reason to adapt and change, it most likely won't. This means that you must train hard. It means that you must train with intensity. While I don't believe that going to failure is necessary for every set, I do see a lot of people working out where they're just afraid of going past that threshold or being in that threshold where they feel that level of discomfort.
Yesterday, come up. Damn!
That lactic acid burn is actually a really good thing. And although we don't need to go super past that point, especially as we're starting out, when we transfer from beginner to intermediate, we want to make sure that we're really challenging ourselves and starting to get comfortable being uncomfortable with that level of burn. Take a look at this example. I'm going to show you two video clips, one where I'm working moderately hard and one where I'm definitely working to near failure. In the first video, I'm able to get about 10 reps of the exercise, and at about rep 8, that's where I start to feel that lactic acid accumulation in my shoulders and triceps. In the second video, I probably go to 15, 16, or 17 reps. I don't remember exactly as I'm filming this. And again, I feel that level of lactic acid discomfort at the 8th rep. Yes, it requires a high level of maturity, discipline, and grit, but it will absolutely be worth it. Befriend the suck. Number 4, protein. This is not just bro science. This is legit. Protein gets broken down into long chains of amino acids. These amino acids are pretty much literally the building blocks to your palace. Nobody with a great physique ever created that physique on a low protein diet. If you're training smart, consistently, and hard like you should be, you getting low protein in your diet is literally going to be the bottleneck to you achieving your fitness goals. If you're training hard and consistently, you not getting adequate protein in your diet is literally bottlenecking your ability to recover and grow. So how much protein is actually enough? Well, this certainly varies person to person, but there is an overwhelming amount of scientific literature that suggests a ballpark of 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight. Now, this number is likely way higher than what you're used to consuming currently. Here's what I want you to do. I strongly recommend downloading a free tracking app called MyFitnessPal and track the amount of protein that you're eating over a few days. Once you find that average number, compare it to the amount of protein that you should be eating based on what we just talked about. You will likely notice a pretty large gap. Go ahead and work your way through the gap over the course of a few weeks by slowly increasing your protein. Some of us have issues adjusting to a dramatic increase in protein from a digestive perspective. That's why you take your time and go slowly. If tracking is really not your thing, you find it overly tedious and you're just not willing to commit, go ahead and get at least a palm-sized portion of protein in with each meal. Hopefully you're eating at least 2 meals a day. With my clients, I usually recommend 3 or 4. Number 5, sleep. You remember how we talked about earlier on in this video that we're really not building any muscle when we go to the gym, we're actually breaking it down? Well, it's in sleep where we're actually building most of our muscle. This is called protein synthesis. Most of protein synthesis actually occurs in our deep wave sleep. So we get REM, we get deep wave, we get light. Those are basically the sleep cycles. Apparently, we actually get more deep wave sleep in the first half of our sleep. So it's actually really important that we get to bed on time at a reasonable time each night. If we're getting to bed super late, drinking alcohol, or having a big meal before bed, that can really impede on our ability or our opportunity of getting high quality deep wave sleep. I personally try to aim for 8 hours a night, and I do whatever I can to make sure that I'm actually getting good quality sleep. So I wear an eye mask, I put earbuds in my ears, I make sure that my room is nice and cold. But most importantly, and this is what I would recommend for you guys watching this video, and you just don't know where you want to start off with a better sleep habit, the most important thing that you can do for getting quality sleep each night is going to bed and waking up at similar times throughout the week. And we did it. I have now taught you the 5 most critical, important factors involved in building muscle. Of course, there are more. If you really enjoyed this video and resonated with the way that I delivered things, stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for joining me today, and all the best.